who is your ideal back line or center back pairing? And we had some interesting answers here. Center back wise, we had a lot of Miles and Matt, which I think makes the most sense. Left wing back or left back, Ramirez and Smith, and then right back is Powell. And then Sam, if you want to walk us through some of the other variations of this.
Yeah, some other people had said, throw out Teenage on the left with Matt and Miles in the middle, and either Powell or Hagglund at right back, and then you either play Ramirez, Miles, Miazga, Powell, or people said 3 in the back, maybe Hadebe, Miles, and Hagglund, no Miazga. And then, some other variations, Ender in the back with maybe Powell on the left and Miazga and Robinson, Hagglund in the middle. I mean, definitely some interesting answers, but I think you see all the right names, right? As far as our best quality guys. I mean,
I think
however, interesting. I just want to ask, right? Should Flores be in this conversation?
Yeah, nobody shouts Flores out, but like in this match for me, you're playing all these youngsters. Like obviously, he hadn't had a good run of form, at Tigres, but I feel like you have to have a little bit more athleticism, and
especially with Robinson out.
The problem I think that Pat had in this match was if you go with 2 center backs and let's say it's not Nick and let's say it's Flores next to Miazga, like what does that look like? Have they had a sustained run out together? Is the communication there? Do they command that system together well? Well, we know that Matt's played next to Nick. That's I think what he was banking on. What I take away from this is, we had how many different combinations of people coming up with options for the back line. Clearly, there's a problem. 18 goals in 4 matches, right? But nobody has the solution because guess what? He's thrown everything at the wall and it hasn't stuck. So let's be honest. They have no clue what works best right now. They have no idea. The whole formation situation. The next question was, should we continue with the 4-back? And pretty much unanimously, there was a lot of yeses, but there actually was a few no's here. So again, it's like we've tried the 5-back system that's worked for a Shield, but with the current setup, like it hasn't necessarily worked. But we tried the 4-back last year, but guess what, Sam? We didn't do well with that either. So what did I say at the beginning of the season? Hey, let's get a full preseason together and try to run out this formation and see what it looks like. Well, if you look at on paper who we have, what did I say? We don't have the personnel to do that.
So to that point, right? One of the comments was keep the back 4, but the decision should have been made in the offseason.
Yeah.
You can't re-sign.
Shout out to Robbie for that one. I know Robbie put that one
center backs. Yeah. And a poor defensive left wing back to play as a back 4. So once
that's
again,
all on the decisions in the offseason.
Shout there. Yeah. So
no, I like that shout.
Some other comments. Obviously, Ryan said it was kind of balanced. You got a lot of no's, you got a lot of yeses. Moving maybe Ender up the pitch and playing Powell as a starting right back. Once again, somebody kind of putting out, hey, it's hard for our team to track back at times, and maybe a back 4 will help that, being able to not be so caught up the pitch a little bit more. But Ryan, what are your thoughts? Obviously, I think we're going to talk about it in the preview for Toronto, but somebody said playing Ender once again more up top and either do a 4-3-3 or a 4-2-3-1 and move Buka out wide, have Gideon Obi play more centrally to support Evander there.
I think Pavel could do it. I just don't think he's had a sustained run out to be successful. Like it'd kind of be unfair to him because we've seen, in this match he gets a goal, he's pressing a little bit higher up and we need him offensively. So if you play him back, you're kind of losing that offensive part of Pavel. But I'd argue in this match, like you could tell, like Nick said, that there were some issues with playing a 4-back. Guys weren't really sure, where to be. But at the same token, like what did we say in part of this match was how wide open the midfield was. I really think a big problem with this team right now is just there's so much space available for the team to come at us where, we have guys that are higher up trying to support the attack, not getting back. And, Giddy leaves tons of space. And sometimes Pavel gets caught up way too high. And then if you only have 2 center backs, it's man to man. And Nick Hagglund, unfortunately, doesn't have the legs to do that anymore. We saw that on the first goal. So you're kind of leaving that space open. So I kind of like the idea of having Obi just kind of be that guy right in front of the back four, just to be that destroyer like he used to be. They tried to push him up higher up when he first came back, earlier this season. Why not have him just be the destroyer that he's been historically, especially if you're going to play two center backs? That way you have a little bit more coverage. You got a guy that stays at home, and maybe you could have Pavel roam a little bit more higher up. You have Ender higher up now as well. I liken this to the U.S. men's national team, Sam. If you look how we use Jedi Robinson, we push him up like a left wing back. We don't really have him play like a left back as much, but the center backs kind of slide over and create more of like a back four. We're doing the same, but kind of inverted to the right side where, Ender's playing up high. It's maybe a 5 on paper, but as we attack, he goes up higher. We kind of shift more into a back 4. So if they can learn that, great. That showed some great promise in terms of the chances we had. I've been calling for Ender, just to have more time and space up wide where he doesn't have to get back and track back. But then the question becomes, who's that right back that could play there? And unfortunately, I don't think it was Kyle in this match, but is it Alvas then there too? Is it somebody else? That's again the question that we got to figure out. But we're throwing stuff at the wall at this point because we're leaking in things. So at what point, Sam, I'm going to ask you this question. Do you just say this is what it is and you stick with it through thick and thin?
I think that's probably the best for all. If Pat's going to die on a hill, right, you might as well die on the one that's been the most successful for you. So that,
okay.
What do you have to lose right now? Except your job,
well, credit to him. I mean, it works out on the offensive side, but defensively you get opened up. So it's like, it kind of worked.